The Pokémon Company are sending us back to Kalos. With their annual Pokémon Day Pokémon Presents, we were given our first look at the next mainline game being released in the Pokémon universe. So let's take a look at what we know so far about Pokémon Legends ZA. After many rumours that the next game in the Pokémon series was going to be based in Johto, it was a big shock when we saw during the Pokémon Presents that we are actually heading back to Kalos. So far, we know very little about the game, but what we do know is that we won't actually be exploring the whole region like we did during Legends Arceus. Instead, the game will be set entirely within Lumiose City. It currently hasn't been revealed exactly when the game is set, whether it will be in the past like in Legends Arceus, or if it will be Kalos in the future, but what we do know is the game is set in a different time period to the original X and Y games. My guess is personally that we'll be going into the future. From the looks of the trailer, it looks a bit more futuristic rather than heading back in the past, and with it being a title of urban development, I feel like we're probably going to be seeing the future of this city and how it grows. The game is scheduled for release in 2025, so we have quite a wait until we get our hands on the game, but I would expect that we'll see it as an early 2025 release date, like we did with Legends Arceus, although we'll have to wait for official confirmation for that. This would also set up for the possibility of a second game to be released in 2025 during the usual lead up to Christmas. So let's speculate on what we might see from this game. First off, we know that the game is set solely in Lumiose City, which I think is a very interesting concept for this game, as it's something we've never seen before. In Pokemon games, we're used to travelling across an entire region, which can leave different areas of the map feeling a bit lifeless. One of the main criticisms I had in the Sword and Shield games were that there are a lot of buildings that weren't accessible if there were many buildings at all, which meant that you wouldn't spend a lot of time exploring the different towns and cities in the game. Hopefully in Legends ZA, we'll see a fully fleshed out city with a lot of explorable buildings with a variety of characters to interact with to give us an exciting city to explore. I'm slightly worried about this though, as the picture of Lumiose City that we see in the trailer doesn't look to have many roads or many buildings, so I'm hoping that the buildings we do have either make a lot of use of different floors, or that the actual map we get is bigger and more detailed than what we've already seen in the trailer. The trailer does open up with urban development, however, so there is every chance that we see the map expand as we progress through the game as this development takes place, which I think would be a really cool concept and something we've never seen in a Pokemon game before, as the world would actually change around us as we progress through the game. Another way that the game exploration could take place is if the player was able to travel to different time periods in the city, or if the game progresses through different time periods. Legends Arceus focused on a displacement in time, which could be brought into this game to have different layouts of the city and different Pokemon showing up at different times in the city's history. I'm very interested to see how catching Pokemon will work in this game, as Legends Arceus was heavily focused on catching as many Pokemon as possible and multiple of the same Pokemon to progress through the game. However, I don't see a big city as a place that's going to be teeming with wild Pokemon to catch, and also would be more difficult to introduce different Pokemon types, as usually different areas of the map would be really obvious with the types of Pokemon that would find there. Whereas, for example, in the middle of the city isn't really somewhere you'd expect to find Ice-type Pokemon. Because of this, I feel like this game could be something that's very different to what we've seen before from a Pokemon game, and won't follow the same gameplay style that we saw in Legends Arceus. I don't know exactly what this is going to be, but I guess that is the exciting thing and the beauty about these Legends games, is that a lot of creative freedom can be used to experiment with different game mechanics and ways to set the game out. However, as Legends Arceus was heavily focused on catching Pokemon, I would really like to see a game where it was heavily based on player versus player battles and very little catching, which I think this city setting could be the ideal setting for. The trailer does confirm that Mega Evolutions will be returning for Legends ZA, which is exciting, and it's the first time we'll see a returning mechanic to the series, and is also personally exciting for myself as I really enjoyed the Mega Evolution mechanic in the X and Y games. Although with Legends Arceus not having held items or abilities, it'll be interesting to see how Megas are implemented in this game. I would also speculate that there is a strong chance that the story of this game could be based around how Mega Evolutions came to be, but either way, I'm very excited to be able to use Mega Evolutions again and see what the new Mega Forms we'll get in this game. The name of the game obviously very heavily hints that Zygarde will play a big role in it. However, with the game being called Legends ZA over just Legends Z, we are more likely going to see a new legendary Pokemon from the Kalos region, but there isn't any information in the trailer to hint at what this Pokemon might be, other than I'd put good money on the name of the Pokemon starting with the letter A. I'm also hoping that we get to see some new Pokemon in the region, whether they come in the form of brand new Pokemon or some new regional variants, as the original regional decks in the X and Y games were very limited and didn't really introduce many new Pokemon. I would expect to see a return of frenzied Pokemon from Legend Arceus, with different Pokemon being the frenzied Pokemon boss battles in this game. For now, we have very little information on this game, and I think that this will be the case for a while, as I don't expect us to get any more until around the summertime, with more smaller bits of information coming out in the autumn in the lead up to my guess of a January or February 2012 release. So we'll just have to wait until then before we can speculate further on this game. Are you excited for Pokemon Legends ZA? What are you expecting to see in this game? Be sure to let us know down in the comments below, and for more gaming news and discussion videos, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next video.